Today we're going to talk about the Doomsday Clock. I've heard about the Doomsday Clock before, and I thought, how is this developed, decided? How can there be a clock on the final doomsday of our planet? But the interesting part about it I want to share with you today. Where is it right now? What are the factors, and how are we affecting that final outcome? Because I think you're going to like this one. It's a very interesting concept, and it is a concept. Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. The Doomsday Clock was created by artist Marta Langsdorff in 1947. Her husband, Mr. Langsdorff, was part of the Manhattan Project. Guess what was on their mind? How long do we have before we destroy ourselves? And so she created this Doomsday Clock depicting how many seconds we had till midnight, the end of the planet, total annihilation. It was really a concept, but what she did is she used factors, and so from there it was used throughout the years by scientists and other people, including Einstein, who realized there are many factors to how close we get to the end of our planet, our total annihilation. I'm Landria Onkka, and welcome to my channel. I am here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. We're going to talk about those fears because it is our actual emotions that dictate the manifestations out there. Now, I train students, and if you're in my free video series, you know that I train people on how to break through fear. The actual emotions are what dictate what we create in our realities. In other words, we are turning waves, probabilities into particles according to what we believe. What we believe, what does that cause? Thoughts and feelings. And those feelings are projected out into this endless space, this quantum field of endless dimensions, of which we can pick and choose those realities that all exist at once. Now, this is science. All right, do we know how this works? We don't need to know because we're human beings and we can't wrap our little brains around that. However, the Doomsday Clock was, and I wrote this down, back in 1953 when atomic bombs were coming out, when we were really in great threat. We were 2 minutes to midnight. The factors that determine that time are our environment, our actual political speeches. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. This is very interesting. And it applies to you also. And our weapons, of course, our health, and all these other factors are a huge contributor. And so scientists take all these calculations and they determine how close we are. The good news is that we went back to 12 minutes to midnight when nuclear weapons were banned. Now we have gotten closer again now to the final doomsday because of a few factors. This is what I especially want to talk about today. First of all, cybersecurity, our pandemics, current wars and conflicts all contribute toward that. But here's the most important part that I want you to hear about, because all the rest we can say, yeah, well, it's hypothetical. Not really, but it's hypothetical, the clock itself. The speech of our leaders actually contributes. Now we have artificial intelligence, so the speech of our leaders, there are certain leaders out there who've used speech that is in conflict with humanity's survival. In other words, using words like, yeah, I know nuclear weapons are banned, but we might have to use them. That's actually an actual statement, and I had to play it myself to hear that. There's a candidate out there here in our country who actually said that. Well, it's banned, but we might have to use it someday. Actually contributed to the Doomsday Clock getting closer. Speech dictates the overall emotions and intentions of those in power or potentially in power that could determine what happens when we are up against potential conflict. Now, here's how it applies to you. So that's why I said we got to be careful about where we place our support in anything, and I'm not talking about just our politics here, I'm talking about anything, if it is destructive at all, including the things that you personally use in everyday life. If anything is destructive and it's within conflict of nature, animals, other people, you are actually contributing to the doomsday clock getting closer to annihilation, because that is not in harmony and balance of the one perfect planet that we could live on. If we respected others, we lived in harmony. Now, I'm going to ask you right now, what kind of language are you using? Are you in conflict with other people? Conflict creates an emotional state within the quantum field that goes into a negative space. And by the way, not everyone's going to live in that space. So every one of you has a chance and a choice to live in a positive new earth, even if this goes on. Now, I ask you, if you are taking a side of any kind, you are in separation. And I know it's tough because you're probably thinking, well, you have to take a side because those guys are bad. In the big quantum field, everything is one thing, just experiencing itself in all of its choices. And those who are doing the things that are in conflict with nature and others and, humanity in general, if we oppose them, we are no higher frequency than they are, because opposition's opposition. Everybody thinks that they're right. And so it comes down to, it doesn't matter about right or wrong. If we're in conflict, we're still not creating solutions. So my question to you is, what are you doing right now? Because your thoughts are generating that final tick, tick, tick to the end of the planet, annihilation. Well, the planet's not going to be annihilated. Just us if we do that. And it is not necessary. And in fact, the clock has gone back. We are fully in control of that. That is not a clock that keeps ticking closer that's just going to kaboom. That's a clock that we can push back and back and back. And it is theoretical. I just want you to know that. However, in the big picture, we're totally in control of it. Our thoughts and our feelings, how we treat one another, and if we are solution makers, as opposed to going into conflict. Conflict is not solved with more conflict. Bigger weapons to take out somebody is not the solution. We have to change how we respond. So my question to you is, when is murder ever okay? Somehow as humans, we justify it when we go into wars because, well, we have to do that. Murder should never be okay and allowed ever. And in the New World, it isn't. It's never allowed. There's never a circumstance when it's okay to do that. You can say, well, what if I defend myself? Well, if you defend yourself, that's not murder. However, depends on those circumstances, right? If you're defending yourself or if you're defending yourself, that's still conflict. We can justify killing all we want, but I'm going to ask you, where do you stand on this? Because humans are so used to destroying things for itself. I see a bright future for us because I think we're becoming more aware of this. You personally must, if you want to participate in that higher frequency, new way of life, raise your frequency and send it out there. And I'm going to tell you why. We have a direct effect on everything. Our leaders, those in corporations, people out there struggling and suffering, we have a direct effect. This is science. And I am telling you right now, those groups out there who are sending prayers and meditating on peace, it does make a difference. So if you feel like you can't make a difference, that can be further from the truth. Your thought every single moment is creating a reality out there. There's nothing set in motion that cannot change. I wrote an entire book about this. And if you want to read Breakthrough Fear, you're going to understand why we don't have to live in fear anymore, because you're actually completely in control of everything. And the experiences that we're having here are not negative, and they are not meant to torture us, and we are not on a prison planet. We are here to experience things that we don't get to on the other side so that we will know them. We have a total knowledge of everything we are and can be, but is actually illusion. We're playing it out because you and I are perfect sources of everything. We are connected to absolutely everything. Your thought is connected to everything. It is one energy field. It is just on every possible frequency experiencing it, but all connected. That means The doomsday is absolutely in our control, and it is endless, endless probabilities. In other words, there's all kinds of scenarios where we do end things here, but you and I don't have to experience that. And if you get a grip on this, and there's the tipping point is actually a whole chapter where I talk about where we are right now with all of this. We've gone past the tipping point. We're now in a critical point of transformation that's either going to take us to the new earth. It's not someplace different. It's just a new way of living. It's a frequency throughout the planet, and we're always going to have density here. That's what we're playing out. It's our response to that that's going to count. Do we respond in conflict? Do we respond in solutions? And that is what has happened in the past that changed the Doomsday Clock to go back. When it was agreed that nuclear testing would be banned, those were leaders that came together to decide that. They were deciding peace instead of conflict. That is required, and it's required in your life every single day. Is my response going to be attack, criticism, judgment? I am now adjusting that atomic clock, hypothetically, to get a little closer, because we're here playing this amazing game together, and you can live an unlimited, absolutely mind-blowing life. I'm teaching people how to manifest amazing things because you hold that power. And if you have any negative thoughts, it's a choice, and it is a story that only you're creating. Nobody's doing it. You're creating a story about those circumstances, okay? So that means that you can change the story about the circumstances and see it completely different, and therefore it actually changes. Yeah, come on over. I have a new email series I'm releasing and a free masterclass called Breakthrough Fear, how you can completely shift your reality. I discuss the steps that you need to go through in order to achieve that amazing goal, go into that space. If you go on my email list, I have 5 proven steps to shift in a completely new reality. I want to help you get there. All you have to do is focus, reprogram yourself out of the negativity that we've all passed down. Your mom, my mom, Hare's mom, whatever, our grandparents, they all learned things, they just passed it on. All right? It's not negative, it's just programming. And so we have to break that chain. And guess what? That atomic clock, it was just an artist's piece by Martel. She was trying to demonstrate that we just basically had to be aware that we can destroy ourselves with these powerful weapons that we're using, and we need to do everything responsibly. We shouldn't ever need weapons, should we? No, not in the new world. No one's a threat to you. You're ready to break through fear. I hope you'll subscribe. I have more positive messages. You'll always get positive messages from me because it's the probability that I'm choosing, and it's real. And if you choose a negative one and you say that's real, then it will be for you. You have that choice. You hold that power because you're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.